So far as I am concerned, I would say my country is the best democracy I've ever seen.
Ghana is highly rated because we actually understand what it means to be a democratic country, and it looks like we set the pace for other countries to also follow.
We have come a long way, in spite of all the bickering, the rancor and acrimony, that accompanies the campaign and stuff like that. In the end, we've come to realize that we have just one Ghana.
I've been in Kenya, I've been in South Africa, and I've been in Nigeria. And anytime they try to do this, to exercise their franchise, you see, battles here and there, fight here and there. But in Ghana, maybe it happens, it's small places, but it's not, it's not many. Ghana is unique among them all.
In the past, we are a young democracy, and we had the challenge of people using abusive language, intemperate language, language that will cause anger, conflict. So what we did was, we have a strong research department. So we made our research officers go out into the field and to interview the voters to find out from them what issues are of concern to them.
Salary, health, and education.
Oh, Amartya Sen says something. So in his book, Development as Freedom, we need development in the country. So basically development in either education, infrastructure, facilities, and security. Basically we need development. We need to grow. Yeah.
I will support my friend. We need development. The development in the sense that the government will ensure attitudinal change, where we can also enjoy. The poor majority will also benefit from whatever that we are doing.
So by this, we were able to promote issues-based campaigning instead of the use of intemperate language, the use of abusive language.
We see ourselves as heading a league table as far as Africa is concerned in terms of democracy. If Ghana's democracy is touted as the best in Africa, or the beacon, or the force in Africa, it's because the media have made it so. We, apart from disseminating information, we are so alert that in fact our watchdog role is one of the best. We expose dark spots which even people are so courageous, dread to do. It comes with some dangers, but we are so alert, we are so free that anything at all cannot be swept under the carpet. We even happenings in cabinet are subject to media scrutiny, and you wonder how we do that, because our lenses are everywhere. We monitor, we let the media consumers to also participate. Participation is key in democracy.
Find out from them why they are in Ghana. That is, they are coming from Wayne State University, Detroit in Michigan, USA. So watch out for that one. In a jiffy, we'll be having a chat with them.
My first experience with Africa would have been The Lion King when I was 5. I know my mom took me to see that, and then also I remember watching documentaries with her when I was young about just poverty and disease and all the problems that are associated with Africa.
The images that you're shown here in America about any African country are nothing close to what you actually see when you go there. I wasn't aware of the how deeply rooted colonization was in sub-Saharan African countries. I wasn't aware of how it has affected many African countries and that it took so long for the countries to gain independence.
How it was ruled, colonialism, things like that, and how all those things in the past affect how the country is run today. And I put a lot of value into that, knowing how systems work and how America, had their hand in everything. And I was surprised and shocked at that. I didn't know we did business like that.
We sat in class talking about, the NPP and the NDC, but I didn't really have any connection with what that meant. So as we moved along and we started talking about actually going to talk to the leaders of these organizations, talking to, media outlets in my case, and it just all became very more real.
We went to different rallies, one on campus, the NDC rally, and the other one was in downtown, NPP rally. And people were fascinated. They were really proud of their democracy, and they were really welcoming. And I think this is a progress. They were dancing, singing, and and I didn't see anything like that in U.S.
Setting up midday, and it didn't start until night, which is something that I was not expecting. They were using cars for spotlights, and it was not really what I expected, but and it even further surprised me when they started playing loud music and they started cheering and singing, and then finally John Muhammad came out on stage, but he spoke for probably about 5 or 10 minutes when we were there for hours, and they were all just making the crowd excited and happy, and using all their campaign slogans, and it was not the typical rally, and at least to me it sort of seemed like spur of the moment, and nothing like you would see in the U.S. where presidential candidate just shows up and everyone comes out to watch. So.
As election observers, we got to see just how they vote and how they tabulate, and it was very refined and not something that I expected from a developing democracy.
I think that at a base level, in these countries, we're all interested in a lot of the same things. We want an opportunity to participate in the political process. We want to do that freely. We want to have the opportunities to have influence in the system and to further our own public policy initiatives. So I think that we all have that in common.
If something was done that they didn't like, the first thing that would come out of their mouth was that they were corrupted officials. And so I think it depends how we look at that, and certainly there is corruption here in the United States, as there is, I'm sure, in Ghana. But we have to look past the party differences or I think partisan politics, because certainly there were a lot of accusations that may not in fact be corruption, but their decisions or things that officials were doing that just may not be liked by supporters of the other party.
But yet they had 80.72% turnout, which was outstanding. Over 14 million voters are registered there. And in the US, you have nowhere near that. It's not the only indicator, I think, to assess a nation's democracy solely based on elections. We're missing a lot. What about civil rights and liberties? What about representative government? What about, and with representative government, look at women in power. In Ghana, they just secured the most seats ever in history, much like we did in the US, this election cycle in Congress. They secured the most women in parliament ever, but yet it's still not truly represented if you're looking at it on a demographic scale. So you have representative government accountability. What happens in an emerging nation if they don't want those people in office? How do you kick them out? If they have, let's say, greater means than the opposition parties have to run a re-election campaign. So yes, there needs to be an emphasis placed on elections. I think it's critical to a democracy, but I don't think it's the only measure we should use.
One gentleman approached us. He was like, "Where are you from?" And he wanted to know about us. And he said he was coming from South Africa just to cast his vote. And we also met a gentleman on the plane from Frankfurt to Accra, and he was traveling to cast his vote, and he said it matters. That's what I'm going there to vote. I want my voice to be heard.
It's self-determination. It's seeing people come together to say, you know, we can do this for ourselves. Yes, we need help because of the centuries, you know, of what's been happening here in the country, but we can still, you know, determine for ourselves what we want our, you know, countries to look like. The people being able to choose who their representatives are. You know, I believe that that is the essential element of a democracy.
It's easy to see democracy in the US, for example, because I'm used to seeing democracy in the US, and I've always seen it. But I've always heard, you know, oh, Africa, most countries in Africa don't have democracy. So when I was able to go to Ghana and see people on election day standing in long lines to wait, that was so amazing to me.
You see, once a friend told me they had an election, like a floor election, and I didn't participate. When I came, they had elected someone I didn't like. And one thing he told me was, if the wise wouldn't want to vote, the fools will vote and elect for them.